know who you are and where you're from. Hello, everyone. If you live in an expensive market and you're trying to figure out how to invest in real estate, this is the live for you. If you are here live, let me know who you are and where you're from. If you're watching a replay, put hashtag replay in comments so you were here. So I know you were here. So today we're going to talk about if you live in an expensive market and you're trying to figure out how to invest in real estate. I'm going to help you figure out your strategy, and I'm going to give you 3 key elements that you need to focus on as you move through this journey. Hello, Deep from Boston. Hello, Trish. Hello, Amy from San Antonio. Tammy from Atlanta. Trish is from New York. Hello, hello. Linda is here from New York. Savita from Long Island over on Facebook. So hi, everyone. If you're watching me on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. If you are in our Facebook group, say hello to us. If you're on Instagram, say hello. Good to see you all. So let's get started. So some of the questions we're going to answer today are: number 1, if I live in an expensive market, how do I get started with real estate investing? Is there no hope? Do I have to invest in this expensive market that I'm in? Am I stuck with making no cash flow? That's the first question. We're going to talk about how to define your real estate investing strategy. And this is something that I love talking about because I really think that we all don't spend enough time defining our strategy. We spend more time executing than actually figuring out what's right for us. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you 3 key questions that you can ask yourself to figure out what strategy is right for you. I'm going to talk about 2 options you have when you when you're investing from while living in an expensive market, and I'm going to give you 3 key elements that are going to make you successful if you're an investor who lives in an expensive market. All right, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is, if you live in an expensive market, how do you figure out what your real estate investing strategy should be? And if you're like me, you have a high achieving career, you have a high performance job, you're not coming into real estate investing to make money. Salary is not your objective because you already have that. You're coming into real estate investing because you not only want to replicate your salary, you also want to build wealth and you want time, right? So if that's you, let me know, because that's who we serve. And I really think that there isn't enough education out there for people like you and me, and that it's my mission to bring more and more people like me and like you out of the corporate grind. If you're a high achiever at work, you're going to do amazingly well in real estate investing. Somebody just has to show you the way, and that's what I want to do. So if you are a high achiever at work and you're trying to figure out what your real estate investing strategy should be, the first question, and this doesn't matter if you're even living in an expensive market or not, this is a question you should ask yourself regardless, is: what kind of lifestyle am I after? And I'm going to tell you why I'm so big on this question. When I first started investing in real estate, I ran into a lot of real estate investing gurus, and it was all about how to save money, how to be at the job site and manage construction, how to really make another 9 to 5 for yourself. And that is not what we're after, right? So when I got into real estate investing, I already had a 6-figure plus job, but I had 2 small children, and I just didn't think that I wanted to spend my life working on somebody else's schedule, building somebody else's business, while my kids were growing up and I rarely got to see them, right? So I came into real estate investing to have time for my family, and I still wanted to make an impact. I still wanted to build wealth. And so my reason for coming into real estate investing was completely different than everybody else's. So every step of the way, I've been very, very careful about how I'm spending my time. What am I building and what it's going to lead two at the end, right? So you really want to get lifestyle focused when you start real estate investing. Don't paint yourself in a corner. That's a construction pun on a real estate investing video. Don't paint yourself in a corner where you realize that yes, you have 8 to 10 properties now. However, the way you've built your business, you're constantly on call. You have to be at the job site if you want to if you want to have your project succeed. You have to talk to tons of private lenders every day to be able to get the money that you need for funding. This is a whole different 9 to 5. It's your own, so it's still better than having a job. However, it's not going to give you that lifestyle that you're after. So make sure that you ask yourself that lifestyle question up front and have it at the forefront whenever you make decisions about how you're going to grow your business, right? So that's the question number one. The second question is, what kind of an investor archetype are you? And so this is something we talk about all the time. Is there are three types of investors out there. The first kind of investor is somebody who comes into real estate investing with little or no money, and it's amazing. I see a lot of rags to riches story in real estate investing. However, it's very, very difficult to succeed if you have zero money and you want to directly come into the wealth building world. If you have zero money and you're coming into real estate investing, you may want to wholesale or flip first, right? And that is something that will give you the income that you're after. The next type of investor is the other end of the spectrum, where you have a lot of money, but you have zero interest or time in building your own portfolio. And that is totally fine. That is an investor that's more beneficial for them is to become a passive investor, invest in other people's deals. And that's when you've already made your millions and you really don't want to worry about getting involved in real estate from an active perspective, right? You're going to invest in other people's deals. You're going to probably not spend any time building your own assets. And then there's an investor in the middle. It's a very small subset. This is the kind of investor that I was when I first got started. Maybe you're also like me. Let me know if you are. We had a little bit of money. We had pretty decent incomes. We had a good, comfortable lifestyle. Niti and I were both making 6 figures plus. Um, and we had a little bit of time and we had huge ambitions. Like, we really wanted to build our empires. We knew we were capable. We wanted to succeed. We wanted to have that time for our family, and we were willing to put in a little bit of work. And so if that's you, that's the little small subset that we serve. Not a lot of information that's out there is meant for people like you and me. A lot of it doesn't apply to us, right? All about, how to DIY things and how to learn how to patch your drywall and save 20 bucks here and there. Like, all that stuff never applied to me. And it was very hard to understand that it doesn't apply to me, because you hear it so many times. You start thinking, am I wrong here? Because none of this applies to me. Am I looking at it the wrong way? Should I be following all this? Am I the person who needs to change their mindset? No, that doesn't apply to you. You need to really understand that you are part of a very small subset of real estate investors. And if that's you, the strategy that worked really well for us was the supercharged or strategy, right? So you buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. If you've been following me, you know what that is, because we talk about it all the time. That is the strategy we used, but we supercharged it, right? That is the strategy we used to build our portfolio. Our portfolio is worth 10 million. We've only been in business for less than 5 years. Both Niti and I are retired from our full-time jobs because of this strategy. This strategy allowed us to build wealth for our family. We don't come from money, so having 10 million in assets is a huge deal for us. And it allowed us to also replicate our incomes. And there are so many advantages to investing in real estate, especially using BRRRR the way we implement it, which is very different than the rest of the world. That is the number one strategy that would apply to you if you fall within that small subset. right? So that's question two, is what kind of investor archetype are you? And depending on that, you can choose the kind of strategy that you decide to follow. We wanted income, we wanted wealth, but most of all, we wanted time to so this strategy, especially the way we executed, really worked out for us. And then the third question is your why. And why are you doing this? And this is something that I always continue asking myself. And over time, it has evolved, but the underlying piece has always been time. It has always been being able to spend time with my kids. And I keep saying this, so I just want to clarify something. This does not come from a selfless place. It's not about being a selfless mother or anything like that. It comes from a very selfish place. I wanted to spend time with my kids for me. It was my need to be around my kids. It was a visceral need. I could feel it in my body. And so, what is it that you want? Why are you doing everything that you're doing in life? Right? And so, when you answer these three questions, it becomes much easier to identify the right strategy for yourself, and it becomes much easier to decline all of the other rhetoric that is going around in the real estate industry. You really have to steal yourself away from all the books and the podcasts and the social media and all the blog posts, and really understand for yourself why you're doing this. And your why is something that can really push you. And that's, it's become such a cliche to talk about what's your why, right? But it really helps when you go through ups and downs in investing. Having that clear why, it becomes like your north star. It becomes that guiding light that's going to help you go through any challenges, because you're so sure about why you're doing it. None of the challenges are going to matter. Do you know about a time in your life? I think we've all been through a time like that, when you're going through a rough patch, but you don't realize it's a rough patch when you're in it. You realize it much later, because you were so sure you just had to get through it, because you were just so sure of why you were doing it, right? Can anybody else relate? Have you ever been through a rough patch and you never even realized it was a rough patch? It's because you're so sure about why you're doing it. You look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I did all that, how I got through that. That's because you were so sure about why you were doing it. And that's why having that strong sense of why becomes so important, because as you go through ups and downs during your journey, having that strong why is going to propel you forward no matter what the circumstances, right? Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. So that's number one. Those are the three questions you want to ask, and that's going to help you define your strategy. So in my case, I wanted time. I knew the kind of lifestyle I wanted. I wanted to know that my son was off of school. They had a weird week off between pre-K and camp. So he was off all of last week. I wanted the kind of lifestyle where that wouldn't stress us out as a family, right? He would come with me to a couple meetings. He would come with me to a job site walkthrough, and then we would go have fun. By fun, I mean go to Target or something. No, nothing as exciting as you might think, but it's fun for us. So it just, that's the kind of lifestyle I wanted. I didn't want anything glamorous. What I wanted was complete freedom of time without compromising our lifestyle. Like I did, just because I wanted freedom of time, I was not going to clip coupons, and I didn't want to live frugally. I still wanted to live well, but I never dreamed of Lamborghinis. I wanted time, right? So if that's what you want, then figure that out. What is that lifestyle that you're after? And the second piece is the why. I was very sure I was doing it for a specific reason. I never wanted to, as I said, paint myself in the corner and create another 9 to 5 for myself, because I was very sure about why I was doing it. And the third one is figure out your investor archetype. So I knew the kind of investor I fell in a very small subset, and I knew that most of what I hear, the advice, on social media, I knew most of it was not going to apply to me. And I was okay with that. And it is so important to know that you don't fit with the masses, because unless you figure that out, you're going to constantly try to replicate everybody else's advice without knowing why you're doing that, right? It is so important to know why you don't fit with all of the mass advice that's being given. So these three questions, super important. That's going to help you identify your strategy. And that is number one, always work on your strategy first before you ever get into the tactical. And I've talked about this before too, is like people, I meet hundreds of new investors, and new investors are always so sure about what paint people have picked out their paint colors. Like when I talk to them, they all even know what paint color they're going to use, but they're still asking like, should I flip or should I do buy and hold? Well, that's the question you want to answer first. Don't get into the details yet. Focus on the strategy first. All right. So that was number one, strategic decision making. How to decide what strategy is right for you, whether you live in an expensive market or not. This applies to you. Now, if you live in an expensive market, let's narrow it down even more. If you live in an expensive market, and if you're like me and you have figured out that you're doing this to gain not just money, salary, not just to replicate your salary, but you want to build wealth and you want time. If you figure that out, then the question remains, if you're living in an expensive market, if you're doing this for time and to retire early, buy and hold investing is the way to go. That is number one. Let's just put that out there. Buy and hold investing allows you to gain advantages from appreciation, from tax benefits, have that cash flow, and have that equity play that allows the rent to cover your mortgage, and you're building your equity with time. So if you're doing buy and hold investing and you're an out of state investor, you are an investor who lives in an expensive market, you have two options. One, I was jumping ahead, out of state investing. So out of state investing is phenomenal. We have about 30 to 40% of the people that work privately with us, they are out of state investors. They live in expensive markets like New York or California, and they learn how to do out of state investing, right? And that is one option. The other option is you invest where you live. You invest in that expensive market. Now, I'm going to tell you right now why out of state investing is going to be a better option for you if you fall within that small subset we talked about. If you are that investor archetype who has a little bit of money and a little bit of time and who already has a decent job, and you're coming into real estate investing for growth and to have that time, I'm going to tell you why out of state investing is going to be better. So if you think about this is your continuum. This is the continuum of neighborhoods, right? So progressing from A, B, C, D neighborhoods, if you're progressively going towards neighborhoods from A to D, I'm going to tell you right now that the cash flow in D neighborhoods is usually higher if you take return on equity into account, right? The amount of money you're actually investing and the cash flow you're getting from it, it's going to be higher as you move towards in this direction. And then it's lower over here. So like if you think about an A neighborhood, for example, Center City, Philadelphia, you buy $1 million home, you're making two, three, four, $500 a month on the $1 million home. Whereas in a D neighborhood in Philadelphia, you're buying a 60, 70, 80K home, maybe 100K max. You're still making two, three, four, 500 a month on that home, right? So your return on the equity you have in your home, your return on investment is always, if you think about cash flow, it's always going to be higher in these neighborhoods. And here in the A neighborhoods, it's that's just how the numbers work. The and I would say typically, not 100% of the time, but I've probably at this point analyzed all the neighborhoods in this country because we've worked with hundreds of investors, and I analyze all their deals when they bring them to me. So I know I've looked at pretty much every neighborhood in this country, and majority of the times I see this pattern. And so if you live in an expensive market, you're living here, your return on investment and your return on the equity you have in those properties, if you look at that from the cash flow perspective, it's always going to be lower at this end of the spectrum compared to here. So that's the other option, is out of state investing. And that's why I highly recommend, if you're living in an expensive market, you make your peace with figuring out how to do out of state investing. And that leads me to the third question I want to answer today, is how to become successful at out of state investing. So there are three key elements to this. And the three elements that you want to focus on is, number one, you need a solid education. You need to build a robust foundation to how you're going to execute your strategy when it comes to out of state investing. And I cannot stress this enough, because you're not going to be there physically. You need to really learn how to do your numbers well, how to manage your contractors well, how to rent out your properties to good tenants, how to screen them well, how to hire the right property managers, or if you're going to manage the properties yourself, learn how to manage properties well, not like a mom and pop investor. Don't take that lightly. And finance, you really need to understand how to do short-term and long-term finance well. So education becomes a really important piece if you want to be a successful out-of-state investor. Excuse me. The second piece is team. As an out of state investor, you're going to rely heavily on your team. Learn how to leverage other people's time and expertise really, really well, and create win win situations as an out of state investor to succeed, right? That's second. And the third piece is tech. You have to learn how to leverage technology to be able to monitor the progress of your projects as an out of state investor. So, even though I live about an hour and a half from all of our investments, I operate my business like an out of state investor. We buy properties sight unseen quite often, especially, we travel overseas a lot. So we buy property sight unseen quite often. We manage all of our projects remotely, regularly, and we do closings remotely as well. So you want to make sure you learn how to leverage technology to be able to run this business as an out of state investor. And as I was saying, 30 to 40% of the, sorry, a squirrel I think just jumped on our glass door in the back. It startled me for a second. So yeah, so you want to make sure that um, you leverage your team, you leverage technology, and you really get educated well. Those are the three key elements of succeeding as an out of state investor. I saw some really fun comments on Instagram, so I'm going to read them out to you. Some of our grads are here too. Hi, grads. I see your names pop up. And so Raquel says, and the why has so much to do with who for me. That is brilliant. I love that. Yes, 100%. She's saying, that's me building my active business to be adding to my passive business, getting there. Yes. Always, everything feeds into, for us, everything feeds into real estate. Diana says, I do this to be with my babies. Yes, totally with you on that. So excited to hear you speak and meet you in a few weeks at Investor Con. Yes, so I'm going to be speaking at Investor Con. It's a conference in end of June in Charlotte, North Carolina. So hopefully I'll see you all there. Come and say hi to me if you're there. Love that you start looking inward and get clear on your strategy first. 100%. Always get clear on your strategy before getting into any tactics. All right, what questions do you guys have? And while you type your questions, I'm happy to answer anything. I'm here for a few more minutes, so ask me any questions that you have about investing in real estate while living in an expensive market. And while you guys are doing that, I'm just going to tell you about a few exciting things coming up. So we are trying to do these lives on a weekly basis. Usually on Tuesdays at noon. There are 2 weeks in July where we're taking the family and traveling to Spain. It's going to be very interesting traveling with two little kids. They're 5 and 7 now. When I started, they were 2 and 0. I had a newborn and a toddler when I started. They're 5 and 7. So we're going to go for 2 weeks to Spain and travel all over. It's going to be an interesting experience. So other than those 2 weeks, I'm going to try and do these lives every day, every week on Tuesdays at noon for the most part. So keep an eye on whatever channel you're watching this video, keep an eye on that, or subscribe to our email list so you can get informed on when the lives are coming up and what the topics are. I'm going to be speaking at InvestorCon, like Raquel just reminded me. It's end of June, June 23rd and 24th, I think, in Charlotte, North Carolina. So come see me if you're there live. I'm also speaking at the Bigger Pockets conference I believe it's coming up in October. So I'll be speaking there as well. Come and see me if you're there live. And then if you want to work privately with us, we have a coaching program that is where we keep it really small. So uh, come and say hi to me over on DM over on Instagram if you would like to become a part of our private mentoring community. As I said, we keep it super small. We're highly selective, so we may ask you a bunch of questions. Or if you want to just apply, you can go to openspaceswomen.com/book a call and apply. And somebody from my team can help you figure out if we're the right fit for each other. And if not, we're happy to recommend whatever's the right fit for you. All right. Let me see what questions are coming up. Hi, Vina from Houston, Shama from California, and Hirsch from Seattle over on Facebook. Hello. All right. So, do you recommend starting with out of state investing with single family homes or multifamilies? I'm not ventured into multifamily yet. Better to start local than go out of state. I'm in Phoenix. So, the question is multiple questions here. One is, should I start local and then go out of state? She lives in Phoenix. Should I start with single families or multifamilies? So, if you haven't yet, pick up my ebook. It's free. Um, the it's called I think it's called we called it ebook on analysis paralysis, but I go a lot into the property avatar. And just DM me on Instagram or just comment below wherever you're watching this live, and somebody will get it to you. Basically, I go over why I think that starting with single family home is the best option. And I call it my 3 S's. You want to start small, you want to start simple, and you want to start in a scalable way. So pick up a single family that is small, where you're like 3 bed 1 bath, 2 bed 1 bath. Those are the kind of single family homes I would advise that you pick up in the beginning. You have to figure out what your property avatar is, and that's part of that. Simple. I want you to start with simple construction project. Don't from the get go with something, a building where a wall is missing, right? You don't want to start there. You don't want to start with a fire damaged property. Pick up a simpler rehab project from the beginning, and something that's scalable. And the reason I'm really big on that is you want to pick up a scalable project in the beginning, because when you do your first project, you're going to learn so much from there. You want to be able to use those learnings again and again. So I always advise people to first project, pick up something that's scalable, something that you can replicate again and again, right? If you try to find a deal that's a needle in the haystack, imagine how hard it's going to be to find another one of the same deal. So single family home, pick up something that you can replicate again, and use those learnings, because you're going to have a lot of learnings from your first one. And yeah, highly recommend start with single family first. In terms of whether you should start out of state investing, or start in your own backyard first, yes, there are a lot of advantages to investing in your own backyard. You're there physically, you understand the market, you can go and visit those properties whenever you need to. Sure, a lot of advantages. However, if you are in an expensive market where there is literally no way that deal can be profitable, I would say, especially a lot of markets in New York and California, I notice it's very hard to get anything with positive cash flow in those markets. So if you're based in markets like that, you may want to start with out of state investing. And this is a personal decision, I think. In Phoenix, I would say look in the secondary markets outside of the main city and see if you can find a market where the numbers work. And that might be a way to figure out whether you can start closer to you and then move to an out of state project. Um, my husband is a Hassan over on Facebook is saying, my husband is a surgeon and he's feeling the burnout. We have one investment property in San Antonio. Sister-in-law lives there, where we Airbnb. I want to create a portfolio where I can have him spend more time with us. Seems like a huge endeavor. I actually think that if you have a high income, it may be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but it really makes a huge difference to put in that time. I mean, imagine how much your husband spent in terms of time and money to become a surgeon, right? Spend a fraction of that energy into building your real estate portfolio. And I just feel like the payback is exponentially more. But what happens is, as we get older, we lose that the drive to put in that work. So you got to reignite that drive, get it done. And in the beginning it may seem tough, but if you just push through it, it's totally worth it. And reach out to me if you need help. We have private students in our program, so reach out to us. We're happy to connect and see if it's the right fit. All you have to do is go to open spaces women / book a call. Diana is saying the same age as my kiddos, great homeschooling experience. Yes. I'm very intrigued with your process. I would like to know, do you help find the deal or just analyze the deal when we find the deals once we sign up? Yes. So HM Shah. You're a Shah too. I'm a Shah too. So we I don't find the deals for you, if that's what you're asking. We really believe that we want to teach you how to fish. You're we I really want to work with people who are just ready to jump in full force, and I'm gonna give you step by step on how you can find your own deals. But you will find the deals, and but once you find a deal, if you have questions, I'm here. And any deal you have, if you want us to look it over, we analyze them, and we glance over things for you. um, and this is, we have calls twice a week. I do my calls on Wednesdays, and then Nidhi does his office hours on Saturdays, and then we also have sensei sessions midweek. So we have a lot of support. Sensei sessions when our rock star um, from within the community who have done a deal, they'll come and they will share their stories and the challenges. And because this is business, there's going to be challenges. They're going to show what worked for them, how they tweak the strategy that we're teaching them. So we have sensei sessions. We have so much support. You will never feel alone in this journey, as long as when you're with us in our program. So I don't find your deals, but we will give you the step by step on how to find the deals. And once you have a deal, we're happy to look over it. And then you have so much support from the community. It's an amazing, amazing community. So Nads2245 says, may I please have the book? Yes, absolutely. Also, Raquel Day, if you guys don't mind, please, when over on Instagram, just please DM Open Spaces Women and just say, can I have the ebook on analysis paralysis? That's the one that has details on how to define your property avatar and how to figure out what kind of property you should go after. And one of our grads, he is in our higher level program. He has $1 million portfolio already. His name is Lawrence. Lawrence told me that before he ever even started working with me, that ebook helped him buy his two first deals before he even joined our mentoring program. That one ebook is how he bought his first two properties. So it's a really, really good ebook, and it's free. So DM Open Spaces Women and we can get it to you. All right, you guys, I'm gonna take off. I will PEYDA 1000. May I please have the ebook on analysis paralysis? Yes, please DM me at Open Spaces Women, because I don't want to lose any of these messages. Yeah, just DM me at Open Spaces Women, ask for the ebook, we'll get it to you. All right, you guys, I'll see you guys on the next live. And I hope you all have a good day. Enjoy some nice warm days. If you're on the East Coast, we finally have some nice weather. Enjoy the weather. And Linda is in our program. Linda says, see you tomorrow. Yes, I will see you tomorrow on our call. Bye, everyone. Have a good week.